Hello, hello, loving yourself to life, people. How are you? How are you? In the car again. You know how it is. That's usually when I get enough time to do some things. I just did help my kids with their homework and did some things around the house. Monday's pretty much getting the routine together, because sometimes it changes depending on what I have scheduled. That's what I love about homeschool. Well, I ran into a couple of people and we were talking, and I told them that I homeschooled. And the first thing they asked is, how do you do that? And I told them how we started, and they're like, well, we don't know how we could start homeschool. We'd like to do it, but living on one income is not an option. Well, let me tell you, and I'm going to tell you just like I told them. Sending my kids to school, to a place where they will not get the individual attention for their needs. My son, I know I mentioned him a few times, but he they said that he is on the spectrum. He needed occupational therapy. He had an eating disorder that didn't let him talk, that prevented him from speaking until he was about 3.5. So he would talk to us, but it would just be one here, one word there, and then he'd make sounds. Like I have video of him explaining how he fell and hit his head and it hurt. And it was, I hit my head, go bang, bang, boom. I mean, that's how he would talk. And I know I told my parents, I was like, man, he's not talking. He's not doing what my daughter did. And they was like, he's okay. Each child is different, which they are, but that just didn't sit well with me. So I took him to a speech therapist, and they, said, the way that he chews hinders him from talking. And I'm like, Ma, I've never ever heard of this before, that the way that you eat, the motion of your mouth um can has something to do with your speech. But that was a big enough why for me when I took him to be evaluated, and they told me that they wanted to put him in these special classes, but my heart just was not for it. I couldn't co-sign on it. And then for what? Just for me to go back to work to make money? And my daughter was fine. My daughter was doing really well, and then I had the baby. So it's a long time for him. So I decided to homeschool. And at that time, my husband decided to go into the fire academy. So my husband was making a six-figure income. It was easy for me to stay home. Everything was there, everything was provided. But then he said he wasn't happy one day. And when he said he wasn't happy, him not being happy spilled onto the family life. And I was like, look, if we got to fix this, we got to fix this. And he was like, well, I want to go and be a firefighter. So I'm like, okay, great. So he went from a six-figure income to making 35,000 a year. Nine, maybe, I think it was like with insurance, barely $800 every 2 weeks. So we had our cars and things were paid off at that time, so we didn't have a whole lot of bills, but that was a real chop chop chop. And then it would be maybe 2 or 3 years before he could even go back to making close to what he was making outside of him working um, overtime. So at that time, I knew I had to do something to help my family. If I didn't, who else was going to help us? My family, they were great. His family were great. They would send us little things for the kids and clothes. Godparents were sending things, and that was awesome. But just for, my needs and other things around the house, not everything was, and not even, we lived in an apartment, and, with the kids, I had to find a way to make money. I actually offer a course called, well, it's not so much as a course as it is an environment of like minded people getting together to help you find your way to making income, building your family life, your friends and having fun again, because going to a 9 to 5, I don't care if you really, really love it. There's a lot of things that you want to do. And I don't fall for that excuse anymore. Like, you can't do what you want to do. We have responsibilities. Yeah, you have a responsibility to yourself to enjoy this life. And if you have children, you have a responsibility to them to spend this life with them. I grew up in an era where people just went to work and they worked overtime and they barely saw their kids just for them to go to school. And then for what? What type of relationship do you have? Yes, I respect my parents, but mostly they don't know anything about me. You know, a lot of people are in that situation. But if you're looking for a way to stay home, all you have to do is decide. You can do whatever you want to do if you want to do it. No one has to tell you to do something that you want to do. Yes, there is some things that may happen because you go and do it. And there are some super planners out there. That's awesome. Our stuff wasn't really planned. Like, he decided, like, this was maybe January, he decided that he was going to go into the fire department academy, and was a March he was starting. And I was already at home. I wasn't going to take 3 kids to daycare and spend almost $2,000 just for who? For someone else to watch my children. And yes, we went on public assistance for some time. I am not ashamed of that, because we needed help in order for me to get going. But I learned the hard way. I know how to do it easier now. Now I don't have to look for anything. It comes to me. Like when they said, I don't chase money, money chase me. I don't do that. Every time, one thing that I did do, and I knew this is something I wanted to do, was work in the fitness industry. I worked in there when I was in South Florida. I taught a hip hop class for kids, and then I taught it for adults, and I really, really loved it. I worked at LA Fitness down there, and they let me teach without a certification. Well, they paid me $15 an hour, and I was like, I don't want to get paid $15 an hour, because this takes a lot of, like, you got to drive there, you got to teach, and great. But I said everybody else was getting paid $30 an hour and 40 upwards. And I said, I knew I was an amazing instructor. So I had to quit for a while. I had all my kids. I didn't have kids at that time. But I knew in this moment, in this time, that he was going back to school, that this was my time to go and take that test. Well, the test was roughly $550 to become a primary group instructor. And I said, I'm going to do it. I kept looking on their website. There was no payment plan. There was nothing there. They wanted you to pay the whole $500 up front. And this was back in 2017. And there was nothing. They weren't ordering. I called them. It's like, no, we don't have any payment plan. And I was like, I'm going to do this because my kids had to go everywhere I had to go. It didn't matter what kind of job I had. My kids had to go because I was a homeschool parent. So fitness was good. If they had a little place there for them, I got plenty of stories too. If they had a place for them to go, that's where they go. Because I've worked at multiple places that didn't even have childcare, and it just popped up. I'm just saying. So, and then one day I went to the website, and guess what? They were offering a payment plan. They actually would let you start free and you can pay it back. No interest. Your girl jumped on that. I did it. I passed the test. And then I couldn't get a job for like 6 months. Nope. I had people take advantage of me. I taught classes and they didn't pay for me, but I was getting experience. I enjoyed the journey. I will say that now that I look back. But I became a primary group instructor. And so the fitness industry is small, but once you get out there and you make a name for yourself in the things that you do, that's you're already over the hump. So now People call me. They ask me, hey, look, we're doing this, we're doing that. Are you in town to do this? We're paying $50 an hour. Would you like to come? And it's not even $50 an hour, it's $50 for 30 minutes. I'm just saying, just things will just come out. And as far as curriculum, you don't even have to worry about curriculum. I can tell you some things, and this is one thing that we found out pretty early. Goodwill. If you have a Goodwill or a thrift store in your area, people throw away good books. And at the Goodwill that we went to, if someone wrote in the book and you showed it to them, you would get it free. I got all the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I got all of them for like $5. Color. Stuff will start falling out the sky for you. I came home one day, there was a box in front of my door with curriculum for the grades that I was teaching. Freaky what happens when you make up your mind to do stuff. I have, like I said, for other stories and more motivation, get in touch with me. One, like the video, write something in the comments that say, hey, I want more information, because honestly, I have a lot of stuff to give. I have a lot of things that I've started and I still have going on, things that are making passive income, just amazing things, stories and communities that I've been a part of. And if you really want to homeschool, if you really want to not work anymore, if you really want to focus your mind, your hustle, change your reality from the inside out, you can do it. There is nothing stopping you from doing it but yourself. I guarantee you'll find out that you're the root cause. So, this is Latanya from Loving Yourself to Life. Hopefully, I'll get to hear from a couple of you that want to start homeschooling. I do one-on-one consultation. Starting is half the battle. You don't even have to worry about the curriculum or anything else, because there's so many things out there that can aid you in this. As always, do something for you that only you will love. Have a love yourself day.